life, because what then is the purpose of living if not living a happy life? Picture this. In a bid to achieve the aforementioned, a mere single signature on a piece of paper ruins it all, leaving you in the dark pits of financial crisis. Locked in a dungeon of servicing a loan you know little about, while you thought you did, just because you sought a loan to better your life. Recently, a number of Kenyans have come out to share their frustrations of how they got themselves into a financial crisis after signing up for a loan, claiming to find out later that they are supposed to pay triple the amount, if not double the amount of what they signed for. Our very own Mwige William has been keeping tabs on this matter and filed the following report.
The high cost of living in the country has pushed many to the brink. Survival here is not just for the fittest, but for those not willing to play by the rules. Kenyans, knowingly or unknowingly, sign away their financial freedom. And this desperation almost ends in exploitation. Moses Kariuki, a father of one, is among the many Kenyans suffering due to an exploitative lending system. Faced with the huge responsibilities, Kariuki turned to lenders to start his own income-generating business. He is a boda operator who for 6 years has been conducting his trade along the busy Waiyaki Way in Nairobi. According to him, the boda business has been a lucrative one, although its gains have been dwindling over the years.
Nikianza sikuwa nimeoa, nilipata mboma kupitia boda. Then from there, nime brought up family, kuna familia, mimi ni mzazi na lea. Na nimeona faida za pikipiki sana. Sababu hadi kujenga, nimejenga kupitia pikipiki. Na mahali nafika bado kunisustain Nairobi ni pikipiki bado. So kwa pikipiki nimekuwa na experience ya muda mrefu. So kasi ya boda iko sawa.
From being employed as a rider to owning his first second-hand bike and to finally owning a brand new one, Kariuki quickly spotted an opportunity to earn more by getting financing for his expanding business through a loan. The process of getting the loan, according to him, was very easy. It was processed within 24 hours after his application, with the only other requirement asked of him being able to place a 15,000 shillings deposit to the lender.
Time nikiwa na bike yangu na bradhangu mdogo akamaliza shule form 4. So akakuwa ana ajira, anatafuta kazi ya pati hapa Nairobi na anahangaika, na mimi ndio nilikuwa namlipia nyumba. So nikamwambia kwa sababu bado sana niko na familia, itakuwa ngumu sana kukusustain wewe hapa Nairobi. The only thing that I can do, nimesikia kuna bike za loan zimekuja, sasa itabidi nitoe pesa kidogo niende niwekelee, njuu zinaekelewa pesa kidogo, nikupatie hiyo bike ndipo ufanye kazi nayo. Sasa hapo ndio nilianza safari ya bike za loan.
But unknown to Kariuki, the devil was in the details of the easy-to-process loan documents. What followed was anguish as he slowly sank in a deep financial crisis pit. With a non-deposit microfinance firm that had financed him firmly on his trail, and despite him having serviced a percentage of the loan, he lost the asset plus the money he had paid up already, accumulating to close to 130,000 shillings.
Ukienda na 15,000 unawekelea, unapewa bike. Hiyo bike unalipa kwa mwaka, kwa tunatuma 400 kwa kila siku. Na nikaona ni mzuri, na kwa ajili kazi iko na atafanya kazi, nikaona ataweza kulipa, na juana familia, nikaona ni vizuri nimsaidie hivyo. Ndiposa tukaendelea, tukasainania kila kitu na tukapewa bike. Bike tulipewa bike mpya ikiwa na insurance ya mwaka moja. Tukaambiwa baada ya mwaka ukimaliza kulipa pia mwaka itakuwa hiyo insurance itakuwa imeexpire. Na hapo ndipo sasa tukapewa bike na tukakuja na bike. Tukalipa mwaka. Kabla ya mwaka kwenda kuisha, bike ikiwa imebakisha kitu kama miezi 2 hivi ishe, tulistukia sana, hatuna pikipiki.
His efforts to get back the motorcycle were futile. which left him with a lot of regrets. He opines that had he saved up for the same period he was servicing the loan, he would have owned a new debt-free asset.
Kama unaweza kuwa na pesa, unaweza nunua bike cash. Ama ununue second bike, ufanye nayo ukisave, ikifika mahali uuze hiyo old bike na ile saving uko nayo uongeze ununue mpya. So siwezi advise mtu achukue bike ya loan kwa sababu hizi bike za loan shida yenye iko unachukua unafanyia. Ukifanya sasa ile uko karibu kumalizia unafika mahali unapata karibu kumalizia bike imepotea. According to me, kulingana na vile experience nimeona kupitia kwa hao watu kenye kinawafutia sana ni ile sweet talk ya agent wenye wanatumwa kuja kuongelesha nawe. Kwa sababu unasikia mtu anakuambia even if you can't pay in a year, tunaweza pia kuongezea miezi kadhaa juu. So ulipe less amount in a daily basis, such as unaambiwa instead ya kutuma 500 kwa siku unaweza kuwa unatuma 300 ama pesa kidogo. So hiyo ndio kitu ambayo inafanya vijana waingie kwa hizo maroni haraka, kwa sababu anapiga hesabu anaona kupata 300 ni rahisi sana. But ajui ile mtego amejiingiza kwamba atakapochukua ile bike anavaa kule akunywe na alipe rent na mambo zingine mingi, mahitaji yake lazima yatekeleze. So kwa ajili ya hiyo unapata amelemewa kulipa. Akishalemewa kulipa, sasa unapata huyo mtu hadi amelemewa hata kulipa bike na bike imenyang'anywa.
Year-old Maurice Kioko, just like Kariuki, also needed financing to acquire an asset, a motor vehicle, but he fell short of the total needed amount. The cash purchase cost of the vehicle was 950,000 shillings. To avoid the long and tedious process required for financing by banks and SACCOs, he saw an easy way out was to get the cash through a non-deposit microfinance company. In his case, Kioko only paid 250,000 shillings deposit for a Toyota Mark X model, with the contract stating that the rest of the amount should be settled by the lender. Kioko opted to settle the loan issued to him within 5 years.
Okay, it was this year, mwezi wa 3 ndio nilipata hiyo interest ya kununua gari. So juu nilikuwa na pesa kidogo, nikaenda kwa Mogo, nikawaeleza that I have an intention to buy a car. Alafu wakaniambia well, it is good, na kuna some requirements walikuwa wanahitaji, of which I provided them, na wakaziperusi wakaniambia I really qualify for a loan. Then wakaniambia nitafute gari, nikaenda pale Garden City, nikaweza kupata gari, na hii gari ilikuwa worth yake ilikuwa 950,000 shillings. So wakaniambia I'm going to pay 30% and the 70% wataweza kulipa. So I went ahead, nikalipa hiyo 250k na wao wakaweza kulipa hiyo 700k, na hiyo ilikuwa mwezi wa 4.
The situation for Kioko, however, took a different turn a few months down the line when he requested for a loan statement from his lender. He says the math and figures did not add up as was in the repayment agreement. Kioko has been religiously paying a monthly amount of 46,000 shillings to the lender, but he says his loan figures are not reducing.
Na kwa mwezi huwa nawalipa 46,000. Na kutoka mwezi wa 5 up to last month, mwezi wa September, I have been paying the car. So nikifanya my own calculations, nimelipa around 240k. Then I went ahead, nikawaitisha the loan statement, ndio nijue ile balance yangu imebaki. Nikapata ile loan statement walinipea. Ile balance ambayo napaswa kulipa asset now ni 865k. So my worry is ile loan walikuwa wamenipea ni 700k. Lakini sasa hiyo wananiambia ile loan balance nimebakisha ni 865, na kutoka mwezi wa 5 I have been paying 46k per month. That is a total of 240k. So ukiangalia 700 na nimelipa 240k, maybe hata kama kuna interest ile imebakia ni around 500k.
A concerned Kioko approached the lender in question regarding the matter, but he alleges he gets little to no help in trying to understand the formula used to calculate his loan repayment terms, and he is now considering to default altogether.
Hii loan yenye nimechukua nimeextend nimechukua, nitakuwa nimelipa for the next 5 years. So kwa saa hii nilikuja nikafanya mahesabu zangu. Nikapata for example if I'm paying 46,000 per month na itaenda for around 5 years, nitakuwa nimelipa around 2.5 somewhere there. Na kulingana na zile mahesabu zangu, if ile loan walikuwa wamenipea ni 700k na naenda kulipa 2.5, I think hii ni wizi ya mchana. So there is something opaque that I'm not understanding in terms of how they are calculating their interest and the payment of this loan. I had already sent the agreement with them. I have just decided that they just come and pick the car, because I can't continue paying 46,000 per month, and the principal that I have been paying for, it is not depreciating. It is just inapanda tu. So does not make logic. Unalipa lakini hiyo balance inaendelea na kushoot badala ya kuteremka.
Knowing too well the repercussions of defaulting on the loan repayment, Kioko says he is ready and willing to give up on the already spent amount. That is about 400,000 shillings, and be free from the shackles of debt, because according to his understanding, the situation does not match what he signed up for.
For example, sasa nikikosa kulipa hii gari, obvious wataikujia. Na wakiikujia, mimi mwenyewe ndio nitakuwa nimeenda hasara. For example, nilikuwa nimelipa hiyo 250k na kwa saa hii nimelipa almost 240k. So ukifanya mahesabu, that is almost 500k yenye nimeenda hasara. And this is just within a span of 5 months, not years. Just a span of 5 years. 5 months, I mean.
Hundreds of kilometers away from Nairobi, Wilberforce Wafula and Clement Chembe from Bungoma County share a similar story of Kiokos and Kariokis. They too took up loans from non-deposit financial institutions only to regret later. Wafula defaulted to pay up his loan, claiming he redirected some of the cash to finance his late father's burial.
Mimi nilipochukua hiyo pikipiki nikaendesha katika miezi 9, wakakuja wakachukua pikipiki. Na si eti walichukua, nilikuwa na arrears mingi. Walinipata nilikuwa kwa matanga, mzee alikuwa amekufa. Na nilishangaa sana juu hapo sikuwa na la kusema. Wakakuja wakachukua pikipiki. Niliposti na 25,000 kwa miezi 14. Wakaniambia total nitalipa ilikuwa 170. Sasa vile nilikuwa nimelipa miezi 9, balance ilikuwa ya 40,000. Wakakuja wakachukua pikipiki na nilikuwa kwa matanga. Sasa nikashindwa, mbona wakunieleza juu arrears haikuwa mingi. Wangenieleza ningejua vile naweza ongea nao nilipa alafu niendelee kubaki na pikipiki.
Wafula claims talks with the microfinance lender did not bear any fruit, which led to him losing thousands that he had already paid up, plus the motorcycle.
Unajua sisi wanabodaboda tuko na roho ngumu sana. Tena mtu akikuja achukue pikipiki na umengangana naye kwa hiyo miezi yote, unaona ni ngumu sana. Hata akichukua unaweza, yani kwa hasira unaweza fikiria amekupunguzia mzigo, kumbe amekuongezea mzigo. Juu akichukua uko na hasira mingi. Unaona si kuweza kufuatilia, lakini nilijua mtatusaidia.
Clement Chembe suffered the same fate. He was unable to pay up the agreed amount, saying that at the time he was unwell, and his health became a priority. The lenders could hear none of his pleas and took away the motorcycle that he had bought through the financing.
Lakini saa hii wanatuumiza sisi. Ona vile hali ya maisha vile imesonga watu. Uchumi imetorora. Ukiwaelezea hao wataki kujua. Kwanza kuna wamama huwa wanapiga simu na madharau sana. Kwa hiyo kampuni ya watu. Hao wajui maneno ya pikipiki, mambo vile inatusumbua. Naomba tu hiyo kampuni serikali iingilie kati. Ile mkataba yenye mmesikizana, yani kama umeshindwa hapo kweli wako na uwezo wa kuchukua. Lakini haujamafikia hiyo kiwango yenye mmesikizana. Wanakuja hata umepaki na arrears labda ya 20,000 ama 10,000. Wanachukua tu. Alafu ukienda huko wameongeza kwa yeye 15,000 inakuwa 30.
But even as some wake up to the reality that the terms of the loans are not all rosy, some are still optimistic that they can better their lives through the loan facilities. Samuel Kariuki is one such person who has taken a loan to enable him purchase a motorbike and self-employ himself.
Kwa kwanza nilikuwa nimeajiriwa, ndio nikaona kuajiriwa hata hiyo pikipiki ukilipa miaka ngapi haitakuwa yako. Nikaona nichukue pikipiki yangu ya loan, nikaenda nika deposit 15,000. Nikawa nilipe kwa wiki. So ndio naendelea kulipa, niko karibu kumaliza. Pikipiki kwa duka kwa sasa inatoka 133,000. Lakini sasa vile nilichukua kwa loan, sasa kwa ile pesa nalipa kwa wiki, nalipa hii pikipiki kwa wiki 37.72. Nafaa nilipe mwaka moja. So ukipiga hesabu yako inakuja kama 200,000 na kitu.
Will it be a matter of time before Kariuki changes his views about the lender, or it will also be another case of a little too late?
Kwangu mimi nilichukua nikijiamini, juu already nilikuwa naweza kulipa ya wenyewe, na nikaona hata nikichukua ya loan nitaweza kulipa. Juu pikipiki ya kuajiliwa, hakuna siku nimekuambia itakuwa yako. Hakuna siku. Hata ulipe miaka ngapi mwenyewe akiamua kuuza leo atauza. Na hakuna kitu utamwambia. Lakini yako ya loan ukijikaza, umalize tu kulipa, utakuwa sawa. Maisha yako itakuwa poa.
At the center of the hue and cry from the many innocent Kenyans, among the mentioned lenders frequently mentioned is Mogo, an international non-deposit microfinance, which has been in operation in the country for 3 years. Stephen Mwangi heads branches and sales in the institution and agreed to an interview with TV47 to respond to the issues raised, giving details of the contract they sign with their clients.
Majority of these customers that we go for, the customers, Mogo customers, are the customers who would not directly be able to get loans from the bank, or even if they can be able to qualify for loans from the bank, you find that due to one reason or the other, or the bureaucratic system in the banks, they cannot be able to get the money within the time they want. For example, here in Mogo, our loans are offered within 24 hours for cars. If you have your car, you can come to us and get a loan within 24 hours. If you need to buy a car, once again, with a deposit of 20%, we will finance you up to 80%. These are some of the terms that you cannot be able to get them from the bank. When you are coming to take a loan with Mogo, you are not requested by anyone to pay anything. So customer, if you have your car and you need a loan, you just walk into any of our branch, you can apply online, and you can go to any dealership and say, I need this to buy this car. So with that, you just bring the car, we'll do the valuation, we don't charge you. We'll put the tracker, we also don't charge you on this one, and then you get your money. Once you apply for a loan with us, even before we process your loan, we will issue you with a preliminary offer. A preliminary offer is a document where you'll now be able to compare and agree that this term is okay. If you want to pay your loan within 24 months, within 6 months, and this installment is, I'm okay with this. Once you read the document, and it has a schedule, amortization table schedule, if it's 24 months, that is 6 months, you agree to that. Once you are confident and comfortable with that schedule, we now move to the next stage. And the next stage is when we ask you for the document that you need to provide to us for us to be able to process your loan. At this stage, when you are processing your loan, we'll ask you for the ID card, to identify know your customer, KRA PIN, and the cash flow documents. Now, after loan has been approved, you will be called to our branch to come and sign. And you only sign agreement in the branch where you will be guided by our loan officer. First thing we insist, you have to read the agreement. And when you are reading the agreement, there is a section where we put the loan repayment schedule there, where you have to check that what you are signing is what you agreed to. So everyone and every customer who signs loans with us, they sign based on the agreement they have read and they have been taken through by our loan officers.
Mwangi, however, will later reveal that the institution received complaints of the same nature shared by the persons we interview, and they handled them as guided by the signed agreements.
So if they are our customers, one thing that we do, we have various channels where customers can be able to raise their issues by contacting to us, by visiting any of our branches, go there and be assisted by our officers who are trained to handle this. So the moment we receive any complaint, the complaint will come. We are in business, so we cannot try to avoid or complaints will not come. So they'll come. We have a team that will be able to respond to every issue that comes. Even issue, let's say a customer says the interest rate is very high and not what they expected when they were signing the agreement. We already have the agreement and customer read the agreement. We will be able now to ask the customer, please come, let's sit down and tell us what exactly did you want. Honestly speaking, I'm able to see majority of the complaints that come, that we receive, but the complaints about our interest being high is not anywhere among the top 10 of the complaints that we receive. So on this one, I would say mainly, of course, it will be there, down there. Would be mainly if when the customer was at the branch or at the dealership, didn't get clear information about the agreement.
But some of the biggest puzzles to this are why a huge number of Kenyans opt to take up such loan facilities and why the lenders easily dish out the loans.
Then whoop came the mobile banking applications, which no longer needed history with them. And some of them could even borrow history from other applications. They would access your mobile phone transactions and borrow that history and use that history to loan to you in an instant manner. However, many of the applications are not giving huge amounts of money that people have now gotten accustomed to. So what has happened is now we have an explosion of the microfinance. So microfinance is also operating on the same platform. They promise instant loans, quick processing, which many of the other providers of funds, that is your commercial banks and your cooperatives, are not able to provide as fast as such.
Michael Wanjala, an accountant by profession with 15 years of experience, notes that there has been a steady rise in the number of Kenyans seeking loans from non-deposit financial institutions without the full knowledge of what awaits them.
So it is very easy for them to realize their collateral. Why these sectors have been targeted is one, because of now the digital mobile apps around taxis. So you are promised on one side, sign up, you get an asset, but the asset is able to generate resources for you. You are told put in 15,000, we give you a motorbike, but on a daily basis you are told on the other side, if you are operating very well, you are able to get your 3,000-4,000. So on top of it, you quickly see that this is an arrangement that you can get in and remain afloat, be able to service your loans. But the reality is that once you get into business, you realize it is not as easy as it were, because if it were, then everybody would have run into those kinds of arrangements. Obviously, nobody has free money. So one of the things we must tell our citizens is the promise of free money is a lie. Nobody has free money. Every money comes at a cost. And nobody takes risks without covering themselves. So the promise of instant processing of loan, behind the scenes, they have mechanisms through which they have covered themselves. And one of the very simple mechanisms is they tell you the rate of interest is 4%. And then they silently don't tell you it is 4% per month. And you know then that means it is upwards of 48% a year, which is even higher than what you would get from commercial banks. So I would urge that there is need for caution. There is need for proper analysis of these contracts before you get in. As people say, if the deal is too good, think twice.
Wanjala recommends that any person who thinks that they were duped or got a raw deal after signing up for a loan should seek legal redress.
In our country, there is the anti-duplum rule, which says that interest charged on the principal amount should never go beyond twice the amount of the principal. So some of these actions that are being taken are actually outside the ambit of the law in Kenya. So it is possible that they can have a class action, that they can approach the courts of law and seek redress. Number two, when you procure something, you are entitled to get full information. So where some of these clauses were hidden, for instance, people should never accept to sign off and leave the contract with the provider of the service, because then you are allowing them to have an opportunity to even manipulate the original contract. So Kenyans should insist that anytime they sign off something, then they pick the contract, they make sure they have read it, and they keep their contract, so that in future, if there are any changes, then we can be able to engage to see whether even the provider of loan is following up. Finally, my comment would be, one, like I said, there's never free money. And then two, don't look at interest in isolation. Kenyans must appreciate that sometimes when somebody tells you the rate is 4%, please query, is it 4% per day, per week, per month? Follow through in terms of the other conditions that are attached to the loan. Because remember, these people are in the business of loaning, so they know the behavior of customers. By the way, they make more money from you when you default than when you don't.
For Kioko, Samuel, Kariuki, Chembe and Wafula, seeking legal redress is one way they can settle dispute with those they entered into a contract with. But presently, they are counting losses rather than bettering their lives.
Sasa hizi nimeandikwa tu tena pikipiki ya mwenzangu. Natafuta pesa lakini sioni juu saa hizi mapato ya siku imekuwa ngumu, hali saa hizi ni ngumu. Unajua saa hizi nimeandikwa tu na mwenzangu.
Hata wale maaskari ambao walituma kuja kuninyang'anya mimi pikipiki, tuliweza kuarusana nao kwa sababu mkataba yenye tulikuwa tumesikizana nao hatukuingiana nao. Karibu nikachukulia hatua lakini nikasema
So ningewa advise ni vizuri kama utaweza kufanya kazi kwa mikono yako vizuri na ungangane upate pesa ya kununua bike, ili ununue tu bike yako bila loan.
And the option that I have ni Mogo wakuje tu achukue gari yao, na mimi mwenyewe tu niseme nimeenda hasara, but all in all it is life.
It is a matter that has even caught the eyes of legislators, prompting them to share the pain that Kenyans are experiencing.
Mr. Speaker, Finance and Budget should come up with an appropriate measure, Mr. Speaker, on how we can be able to protect our people who are innocent, by the way, Mr. Speaker. Because when you go and sign these things, they ensure that it is fine print. You don't see what you are signing. Most of our people are very old. They don't even have, they don't have spectacles, Mr. Speaker, or reading glasses, and therefore they end up signing themselves to something like a death warrant, Mr. Speaker. And most people, after this has undergone through, Mr. Speaker, and the Senator of Siaya can agree with me, is that some of these people go to depression, they go to stress, and some of them even end up committing suicide.
Senators on the floor of the August House called for the regulation of the fast-growing industry, which according to them have caused more pain than help to a great number of Kenyans.
With statistics showing actually, Mr. Speaker, that the repossession rate of motorbikes in our country today stands at an approximate number of 50%. Mr. Speaker, the repossession of collateral assets, especially in cases where at least 30% of the value of the assets have been paid up, is an extremely punitive remedy, and since asset-based microlending companies operate in a limited regulatory space, recourse for the borrower is limited.
These people, when they are coming back for their money, Mr. Speaker, and I think we need a protective legislation, they come with administration police officers. What they do, they don't even negotiate. They drive away the cows. They take maybe Mahindi in stores, Mr. Speaker. They take television sets, they take sofa sets. Mr. Speaker, apart from causing domestic problems through this micro-lending, Mr. Speaker, it also, Mr. Speaker, creates vicious circle of poverty, as my brother said.
Mwige William, TV 47.